When you're in the political space, you are a public figure and everything you say will be used against you at some point. So you better be on 10 with everything you say. Well, apparently Michelle Obama wasn't, according to Megyn Kelly, because she has some words she has to say to her after Michelle Obama has been open about her thoughts on DEI, affirmative action, her personal experience going to Princeton, all this stuff, testing. You will be able to see for yourself Michelle Obama's words and Megyn Kelly's response and come up with a opinion on that yourself. And we're going to go through this together. Before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to Resist the Mainstream, because it ensures YouTube that you're enjoying these videos, and in turn, they will continually show up in your feed and they'll push it out to more people. I'm Titus. Let's get into this video.
A couple weeks ago, I did a fact check on the attacks coming down against Charlie. Nicole Hannah-Jones and many others have raised this comment without giving the context, where they said, oh, he says black women don't have the brain processing power to make it in life. And that those who went to Ivy League universities stole a white person's spot. Now, that is totally out of context. You have to hear what Charlie actually said, because, of course, he was talking about affirmative action, in which, yes, indeed, when it is given to a black or a brown person, and it's given to them based on skin color, a place in a university, it absolutely is, quote, stealing a spot from either a white or an Asian. And we know that because there was a whole U.S. Supreme Court case in which whites and Asians brought a complaint saying we're the ones being disadvantaged systematically by places like Harvard, and it's illegal. It's illegal race discrimination against us. And the Supreme Court agreed, 100% agreed. Here's the Charlie comment, and then I'm going to show you what Michelle Obama just said.
If we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
But I rise.
The way he said that is where people have an issue. And I'd honestly, hearing that off the, face value, it's like, what do you mean? Like, you took a white person's spot, you don't have the brain processing power. He's talking about the individual. He's not talking about black people. But that obviously saying like that it's not a good look. It's not an issue for these places to want to have more diversity within their school or workplace or whatever. Like, that's fine. As long as you are not removing the standards or lowering the standards for people to be able to get into these places, which I'm not saying they necessarily do, but maybe they do. We'll see here in this video, or see what Megyn Kelly has to say about that. But then at the same time, also, it does come off as if you're discriminating against other people based off just the way they look, and that's unfortunate for them as well. So, and I think that there's a whole conversation that could be said about that whole thing, but yeah, it just didn't sound good, certainly. Although I don't think he meant to come off as if black people don't have brain processing power. I think it was directed at the individual. But yeah, let's continue.
Today as a clear recipient of affirmative action.
A clear recipient. You're going to run with that.
Particularly in higher education. I may have been admitted on affirmative action, both in terms of being a woman and a woman of color. But I can declare that I did not graduate on affirmative action. This is my personal story.
It's very obvious to us that you were not smart enough to be able to get in on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving. You know, this is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee are. They're so narcissistic, they think this is persuasive.
He's 100% right. By the way, Joy Reid went to Harvard. I mean, that's all you really need to know about what a farce affirmative action is. She went to Harvard. Michelle Obama went to Princeton. Sheila Jackson Lee went to Harvard. And Ketanji Brown Jackson did too. So Michelle Obama has already admitted before that she got into Princeton via affirmative action. That's how Charlie knew it. And listen to her. She went on the Lewis Howes podcast. It was released in May of 2025, but they cut a shorter version and re-released parts of it just now, which is how it caught our attention. And listen to what Michelle Obama says about that experience in SOT 29.
I wasn't a great test taker. I was a great grade getter, but I wasn't good on SAT. So I had good grades, not great scores. So all the scores said, you don't belong at Princeton. And there were people who saw me, saw the color of my skin, and said, "You're aiming too high."
Sure.
Imagine going to these
they?
schools being told that you're not ready. And that was my first insecurity of thinking, well, maybe I don't belong here. And that's the world telling you that you don't belong, even though it's like, well, all my experiences up until this point say that why wouldn't I belong here?
So how did you overcome that
Because you
belief
had
that
bad
don't
SATs.
belong, or that other people are telling you you don't belong?
I got there and I looked around and went, oh my God.
Sat in a few classes
And sort of realized that affirmative action isn't just the color of your skin, but there were a lot of kids that were legacy kids. They were athletes. It was like, and then you sit in class with people, a lot of bright people, but there were a lot of people that were just, so you wonder, well, how did you get here?
Okay.
I know Megyn Kelly's about to crash out on this, but that's actually a valid point, the whole legacy thing. And well, my thing is also, in order to get into these schools, even if they do lower the standards to some degree, which I'm not saying they should, and I'm saying they do, because I don't look into it to that grade of detail, they still have to be very intelligent to some degree. They're not just going to let an idiot into Harvard. Like, you had a 2.5 GPA, and hey, you know what? Because you're black, we're going to put you into Harvard. Because you're a woman, we're going to put you in Harvard, or whatever the reason may be. You still have to be relatively intelligent, which is why I think that, both sides are so just argumentative and like extreme with their takes on this thing. Even with what Charlie was saying, it's like Joy Reid and these people may say dumb things and have bad takes and like something that you think is just fundamentally wrong, but these people are not stupid. And honestly, they're all playing the game, in my personal opinion. But let's just see what Megyn has to say.
So there she is saying almost exactly what Charlie said, that she did not have the scores. Another way of saying it would be brain power. It is an aptitude test to get into Princeton on her own.
It's not a brain power though. Yeah, I mean, SAT, and people have their own theories on what testing is that's even beneficial to a child's education and development. But she said she had good grades. So obviously she was very intelligent. I'm sure she had like a high GPA. But again, favoring people if they do bad in SATs, which is something that people look at. If you do bad on that, and that is like a factor in getting someone into education, and they didn't get into, a white person didn't get into it because they had bad SAT scores, and that is the same exact track record as Michelle. It isn't. I can see the frustration being white or Asian, the people that get excluded because of a diversity, not higher, but you wanting to bring someone in because they're black. So I understand that being a frustrating thing, but also it's not like she's dumb.
Had to lower the standards for her, and they were willing to do that because of the color of her skin. But she changes it to the color of her skin led people to believe she didn't belong at Princeton. No, the color of her skin is the reason she got into Princeton and got a lifetime of advantages that she's still living high on the hog from. But she's still bitter about it, Victor, still to this day. And Charlie's being called a racist for saying exactly what she said in that clip.
Yeah, and you know what's weird?
I just don't think brain processing power is the way that the words to use. I think these people want to be like, they do this on purpose, in my opinion. They like want to be so divisive and like, what's the right word? I can't even think of the right word. They want to be so extreme. I can't think of another word. And like their takes on something. And like to maybe get the point across, and then it comes off really bad, and like you're generalizing, and like and so there's just a better way to go about it. But I don't think, that's not what pays the bills. So, anyways, let's see what else is said.
Failing. Yes. Wait, I've got to get to one other, because she went on. Her bitterness does not stop with the fact that she got into Princeton. In her imagination, someone begrudged her the spot or didn't think she belonged there. P.S. You didn't. I didn't belong there either. I don't think it's because I'm a woman. I didn't score high enough. That's why I didn't.
Respect. At least she's holding herself to the same standard as Michelle. She's like, hey, I didn't score high enough either, so I didn't deserve to be there. It's not. So that's like kind of thing that makes you like. I'm not saying people don't have stupid takes on things, or people might not know what they might be saying things the wrong way, but I don't think that makes them racist. And I think she's this right here kind of draws that point. It's like, I also didn't belong. I also didn't meet the standards that were required for me to get into this spot, and I'm not blaming my race for it one way or the other. So respect.
Belong there. In any event, she's also, as we know, still very bitter about the country and her time in the White House. And you would think, I mean, if you're Michelle Obama, you're universally beloved, you call your book Becoming, you're on the cover. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm so becoming, I'm so beautiful, everybody wants to be with me. She talks about how people line up to see her at these public events, how wherever she goes out to eat, everyone's staring at her and Barack. They're the topic of conversation at every restaurant they go to.
I mean, obviously, they're the former president and first lady. That's to be expected.
So difficult to be Michelle because you're just so super famous and everyone loves you. And you would think after being first lady for 8 years, you would say, I'm just so damn lucky to have been born in the United States of America, where I could go from growing up in relative poverty, sharing a room with my brother on the south side of Chicago, and it could go up to become the first lady of the United States and married to the center of power and living in the White House. Like, I love this country. I'm so grateful for what it's given me and given my daughters. No, this is how she sounded on that same podcast, The Lewis Howes Show. South 30.
The White House is just another Princeton, right?
Really?
And the experience was just the same. You have a lot of people saying that there's no way that this Black couple is capable of representing our country. They are not patriotic. Look at their fist bump. Did she really get into Princeton? Is he really from this country? Did he really go to Harvard? Is his, it's the same kind of because we can't see past our own prejudice. Let's question, because we were told that there is an order and that you don't belong at the top, and what I soon realized is that's not about me. That's about them.
Them.
Okay.
Them.
Who
are them?
Who said that? Honestly, Victor,
Nobody said that.
Questioning whether we're patriotic. She literally said for the first time, I was proud of my country. First time in my adult life, when they nominated Barack Obama, I was proud of my country. She'd never been proud of her country before.
She said it was a downright, remember? She said it was a downright. She said during the 2008 until David Axelrod said, you're going to be quiet. You may not like it, but you're not allowed to say anymore, because she said, I'd never been proud of my country. She said it was a downright mean country. She said they always raised the bar on us. Every time we tried to do something, they raised the bar on us. Then finally, they put her on ice. So they said, you are not, basically they said to her, you're not capable of making a public statement without offending people. And by the way, in 2008, Barack Obama got more white votes than John Kerry did in 2004. And he was elected primarily by white people who voted for him, and a small minority, maybe a large minority, did it because they thought, even though he was too liberal for their tastes, some Republicans, and they thought it would be good to have a African American. The only thing that people roundly criticized Barack Obama for that he didn't earn was a Nobel Prize.
Two things can be true, right? Oh, I mean, the whole thing, I wasn't proud of our country until that is wild. Like that we played a part in ending World War II. We've done a lot of things that are worthy of being proud of. But like, I get that was probably a very historical moment for you and your family, thinking that was huge. But like, I feel like what she was doing and what a lot of people do, and what Michelle Obama was doing here, was like looking at and there were people that said these things, obviously. Like they both said, nobody said that. Yes, they did. Of course they did. People say terrible things all the time. On both sides, they say terrible things to the other side. There's a sect of each individual political party that says terrible, heinous, awful things. And you guys know this. Megyn Kelly, you know this. You know the negative comments are the ones that affect you the most. If you're someone that looks at comments, like that's how everyone is. And that's the things that stick out to you. That's what makes you think, oh, people see me this way. That's just how humans are. That we react to the bad things people say about us. So I don't think that's necessarily them being dishonest, but also it's not necessarily true, because I'm sure like most majority of the country, he won the popular vote most times, Obama, and he had like this guy said a lot of white people voted for him more so than they did white people that ran for office. So like John Kerry. So it's just like things are more complex than they are, but these extreme takes that the sides take, these extreme takes that like Michelle Obama will make or like Megyn Kelly will say, it's just like, you're both right and you're both wrong. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to comment down below. Can't wait to see you on the next one. Peace.